Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Huge progress update for this video. Let me just quickly run you through everything that's happened already. So as you saw in the time-lapse footage, we blew out the frame rails with compressed air. Now it took about 2 hours to clean out all of the garbage that was accumulated in it, and at the end about 1.5 kilograms worth of stuff accumulated on the floor. Now the reason there was so many left, despite me blowing out these frame rails before, is because when I got this car, I pressure washed the underside before starting to work on it. So I just assume all of that dirt turned into clay for the time being, and only now, 1.5 years later, in our lovely hot and dry climate, that has all dried up and I was able to blow it out. So did that. After that, I've installed the leaf springs, which went out a hiccup, and then I wanted to install the differential, which went with a hiccup. So unfortunately, these mounting pads on this 7.25 is about 1.5 centimeters too wide on each side, and I did already try to move out the leaf springs. They didn't budge. So unfortunately I will have to grind out these welds, move them up and re-weld them, which is not ideal. Already drained the differential, took out the side shaft, so I'm gonna get cracking on with that right now. I was under the impression all of the 7.25-inch differentials would be the same, but seems like Chrysler Corporation in South Africa had different ideas for the later model differentials, which this is. So yeah, kind of sucks, but has to be done. Once I'm done with that, I also got the engine out. So it is here under a blanket currently and on a pallet. Now I just need to double stack it with a narrower pallet so that it's a bit higher up, but the plan is essentially to take a pallet jack, move the engine in place, and then drop the entire body on it. That way I can have the engine and gearbox all inserted at the same time, and I don't have to take off my hood again and have to struggle with an engine hoist to get it in. But before we get to that, we will have to fit the aluminium radiator and drill the holes for it. But yeah, one thing at a time. Stay tuned, it's going to be a very busy episode. Alright, so as you could see from the time-lapse footage, it's been a very eventful 2 days, very exhausting as well, but I'm very content to finally have the engine and transmission in after all this time. We're making some good leaps in progress now, which is exciting. But yeah, let me run you through everything that has been happening. So the car's currently on the lift, so I'll just show you the underside first, and then I'll drop it down and show you the engine. So as discussed, I had to re-weld the brackets for the differential for it to fit this car. Now if you paid attention, you would have seen that I didn't have a shirt on for a segment of a time-lapse footage. That's because when I was tacking up the brackets over here and lying underneath the thing, some of the slag dripped on me and accidentally set my shirt on fire. So that wasn't very ideal, but you know, what can you do? But anyways, I re-welded it and it came out okay-ish. Now the big thing is I had to weld it in 3 segments because I didn't want to heat up the material too much and risk warping it, and then everything here is screwed. So I welded like a third, and went along like that. Now welds aren't the prettiest because I had to weld it in segments, and also because I had to use a stick instead of a MIG. But I mean, all things considered, they didn't turn out too bad. So just proving that I didn't just bird shit weld it and grind them down. There's actually some beads, but yeah, so differential is in, and all good, all square, pinion angle is correct, so that's done, thankfully. Now regarding the engine, which is in, we have run into a minor snag that needs to be fixed. So you can see the collector for the 2 headers. The bung for the O2 sensor is here, and there's no space in between this and the floor pan for the O2 sensor. So I'm gonna have to plug that, take this off, and I'm thinking of putting the sensor here because it seems like it would clear here. So yeah, that's a bit of a nuisance, but we'll sort that out. I'm currently setting up these linkages and whatnot for the shifter and for the kickdown cable. So yeah, that's pretty much it for underneath, I reckon. So let me quickly drop the car down and show you what's going on with the engine. And here we are. The engine in all of its glory has finally been married to the body. Now, sorry for the mess, it's a bit dusty. I do live in a desert after all. It's quite hard to keep shiny things shiny in this environment, and also I am yet to sort out the devil's spaghetti as well as mount the remote oil filter. Right-hand drive Mopars with Slant 6s need remote oil filters because the steering box is in the way of where the oil pump oil filter setup would be on left-hand drive Slant 6s. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Let me run you through the details of the long-awaited engine. So it is the 225 cubic inch Slant 6 that we got out of the 68 Barracuda, which Cyril is still outside under a tarp. It uses a big fat Torque Storm centrifugal supercharger, as well as Holy Sniper EFI, and then of course MSD electronic ignition for all of our sparky needs. It has bigger valves seated into the head, and it has an Aussie Speed camshaft set up for boosted motors. Now, there's an interesting thing I want to point out on this engine which makes it quite unique other than the obvious, and that is this intake manifold. Now, it is a 4-barrel intake manifold, and some of you might think you recognize this as an Offenhauser aftermarket, but it is actually not. This, believe it or not, is a stock factory Chrysler intake manifold. Now, it's not Chrysler America, but Chrysler Motor Corporation in South Africa made these intake manifolds for police cars and other government cars that uses the Slant 6. That's the story as far as I know. I might be wrong, but it is pretty cool if you think about it. Pretty rare as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the motor. I have fitted the radiator. We just need to figure out the fan setup. There's not a lot of space for a mechanical fan here, so I'll probably get a low profile electrical fan to sit on this. I had to get a different belt for the alternator and fan belt setup because that one that's off was too tight, but this one is good. So yeah, the only thing left to do for me is obviously sort out all of the plumbing and the wiring and mount the remote oil filter. I'm probably just gonna time lapse all of that because it's gonna take me quite a while to figure it out, especially the electronic ignition, because I have not worked with it before. So yeah, I think that is it. Some minor snags we have to sort out, but ideally I want to try and get the fuel return line into the tank sometime this weekend, sort out the O2 sensor during next week, and also finish up all of this wiring, and then hopefully if all things go well, which it usually doesn't, we can fire up before Christmas. I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? Oh, right. Minor thing, but I need to weld a battery tray because my battery tray has all but disintegrated. But yeah, small detail, doesn't really matter. You guys have a plan. So please like and subscribe, share the video with your friends. Most people who watch my videos are actually not subscribed to the channel, believe it or not. So you do me a huge favor if you do like, share and subscribe. But anyways, yeah, stay tuned for the next video, guys. Things are getting exciting from this point on. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.